Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about some highly anticipated news regarding version 1.2 of Mongil, Stardive, which is arriving on July 8th. That's about 10 days away from the time this dev note was published. What the development team shared this time directly addresses the two biggest pain points that players have been complaining about for a long time: the Monsterling system and equipment. So today, I'll go through everything section by section, analyze what these changes actually mean in real gameplay, and give you some specific advice on what you should do with your current resources before the update arrives. First, let's talk about Monsterlings, because this is clearly the part that received the most attention in this dev note. If you've been playing Mongil for a while, you already know that the Monsterling trait system is one of the most exciting, but also one of the most frustrating systems in the game. Sitting there, combining dozens of times and still not getting the trait you want, or finally getting the right trait but on the wrong element, is the kind of experience that quickly kills player motivation. And it's obvious that the development team has heard that feedback. The first and most important improvements are two brand new features: trait upgrade and trait change. These are the two additions that I believe will completely change how players approach building Monsterlings. Trait upgrade means you no longer have to rely entirely on luck to get high-quality traits from the very beginning. You can gradually improve the traits you already have. Trait change allows you to replace an unsuitable trait without having to scrap the entire Monsterling and start over from scratch. These aren't just small quality of life features. They're fundamental changes to the design philosophy of the entire system. Next is Monsterling Combine. Previously, the combine result was based on a general formula that didn't take the quality of your input materials into account. That created a very unfair feeling because you could invest high-grade Monsterlings into the combine and still end up with terrible results. In version 1.2, the system will be adjusted so that the highest grade material used in the combine will now influence the outcome. Simply put, better inputs will give you a better chance at better outputs. This is a system that honestly should have worked this way from the beginning, and seeing it finally arrive in version 1.2 is a very positive sign. Now let's talk about Mutation Combine, because I think this part is pretty interesting. The team is currently reviewing the system with the goal of raising the success rate above 50%. Right now, the success rate is so low that many players have almost completely given up on chasing mutation monsterlings because it feels like throwing resources into a machine with no guaranteed return. If the final number actually ends up above the 50% mark, this could become a real turning point for players farming mutations. I'll definitely be paying close attention to the exact percentage once the update goes live, because we're reviewing it with a target above 50%, and it's officially confirmed at 55% or 60% are two very different things. Another change I really want to highlight is that resistance traits will now only appear on Monsterlings with the matching element. Fire resistance traits will only appear on fire element Monsterlings. At first glance, this might seem like a small adjustment, but it's actually a very important improvement to the trait pool itself. Previously, the trait pool was diluted with a lot of traits that simply didn't make sense for the Monsterling you were building, making your actual chances of getting what you wanted much lower than they should have been. Restricting resistance traits by element makes the pool much cleaner and significantly improves the real probability of rolling useful traits. This is a very smart design improvement. Now let's move on to the dispatch system, which is a completely new piece of content coming in version 1.2. Based on what the developers shared, the dispatch system is designed to replace field runs, meaning those times when you had to manually enter maps just to farm resources. This sounds very similar to expedition or idle farming systems that are common in many games in the same genre. You send your monsterlings out, wait for them to finish, and collect materials without having to actively play. More importantly, this will also be the primary source of the new materials required for trait upgrade and trait change. I'll spend more time understanding this system during the July 1st livestream because I think it has the potential to become one of the biggest changes to players' daily routines. As for Mutation Monsterlings, the team also talked about Borborg and Phantom Snow Tiger, two request monsterlings that players have repeatedly complained are too difficult to farm. In version 1.2, you'll be able to receive requests for the same monster up to 3 times instead of being limited like before. This directly solves one of the biggest bottlenecks in building mutation monsterlings, and I really appreciate that the team listened to community feedback and made a specific adjustment based on it. Now, let's move on to equipment and conquest, because there are some noteworthy changes here as well. First, the Brawl, Destroyer, Assassin, and Support options on Footwear will all be merged into a single option called Role Specialization. I think this is a design decision that will significantly simplify equipment building across different characters. However, here's something you should pay attention to right now. This change will be applied to all existing footwear after July 8th. That means if you're currently holding on to a pair of footwear with great stats, but the wrong role for the character you want to use, don't throw it away just yet. Keep it, because after the update, it may become usable for that character. As for Conquest, the team will expand the higher difficulty levels while also increasing the drop rate for crafting materials. This is something the community has been asking for a long time, because right now it takes far too much time and effort to grind enough materials to craft legendary equipment. On top of that, some of the materials needed to enhance legendary monsterlings will also become available in Conquest. That's a huge plus because it gives players another good reason to invest their time in this content. The difficulty system is also getting a very convenient improvement. Once you clear a higher difficulty, all lower difficulties will automatically be marked as completed. You won't have to clear every stage one by one anymore. It's a small quality of life improvement, but it will save players a lot of time in practice. Another nice change is that entry tickets won't be consumed just because you attempt a stage. You'll only spend a ticket when you actually want to farm the rewards. If you're simply trying to earn the first clear reward, no ticket will be used. That's a great design choice because it encourages players to challenge themselves without worrying about wasting resources. There are also several smaller but meaningful improvements. You'll be able to use food directly from the team formation screen instead of opening a separate menu. The boss capture process has been streamlined into a single action instead of requiring both the Nyanner's capture and burst mode QTE phases. New warp points have been added closer to bosses during requests, and your character will automatically face the target after warping. Individually, these changes might seem minor, but together they add up to a much smoother overall gameplay experience. Dimensional Rift is also being reworked. The maze sections and platform puzzles are being removed completely, and the time limit during episode boss battles is also being eliminated. This means character progression will have less impact on your ability to clear episodes, which I think is a good decision that reduces pressure for more casual players. As for Red Shadow Conquest, the team admitted that this encounter ended up being much harder than originally intended, mainly because mechanics that interrupt your damage output, such as terrain destruction, occur far too frequently. They're now adjusting the conditions that trigger these mechanics and rebalancing Red Shadow's difficulty to be roughly on the same level as Hanul. If you've been stuck on Red Shadow, this is great news because version 1.2 could finally give you the opportunity to clear it. All right, finally, here's my practical advice before the update arrives. First, don't rush to spend your resources on trait upgrades or combines right now unless you absolutely have to. With the new systems coming in version 1.2, your chances of reaching your desired build will be much higher while requiring fewer resources, so saving now will be much more valuable after July 8th. Second, keep any footwear with strong stats even if the current role doesn't match your character. Once role specialization is merged, those pieces will become much more flexible. Third, if you're currently farming Borborg or Phantom Snow Tiger, consider waiting until after the update when you can accept requests for the same monster up to 3 times. Your farming efficiency will be much better. And finally, don't miss the July 1st live stream if you want a closer look at the dispatch system and the latest build changes. That's where we'll likely get much more detailed information. Overall, I think DevNote number 8 shows a development team that is genuinely listening and willing to make meaningful changes to the game's core systems instead of simply releasing small patches. From the Monsterling system to Conquest, from small quality of life improvements to major structural changes, version 1.2 looks like an update that's definitely worth waiting for. What about you? Which of these changes are you looking forward to the most? Leave a comment below. I want to know which Monsterling you're currently building and what change will have the biggest impact on your playstyle after July 8th. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.